Welcome to Relationship Mastery, a podcast for those who want to learn how to master the art of creating happy, healthy, and loving relationships. Please join me, Adey-Jones, and my co-host, Barry Selby, each Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific for a lively and informative conversation on everything to do with relationships. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us again. So today's topic is influenced by the news, not my personal experience, or thank goodness I got married 2 weeks ago. So breaking up is not hard to do for me, for right now, hopefully. No, never. He's a wonderful, wonderful man. But witnessing this very public breakup between these two men, let's just be clear, we're talking about Trump and Musk, really made me think about breaking up is hard, whether it was a friendship or a relationship or whatever it is. It is hard. But when we make it public, it becomes a lot harder.
Yeah, the dirty laundry, yes.
Yes, and it's not to say you can't share with your friends and family how you're feeling, but when it's done publicly and when it's done on social media or things like that, it invites so much more pain and grief that you didn't necessarily need in your life, because again, ending of a relationship is already, it's a grieving process, whatever, whether it's, as I said, friendship or whatever you call the Elon Musk thing and Trump. I mean, mutually beneficial, whatever that was, friends with benefits. Another friends with benefits version.
Well, they call it bromance usually.
Yeah, bromance, that's the word, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think it was mutually beneficial for both of them, and but there wasn't room for two massive egos like that.
Well, the thing for me about that piece, just speak of that for a second, I think it's true for romantic relationships too. Oftentimes, is when people break up, there can be, it doesn't happen all the time, but there can be a decision made by each of the individuals or one of the individuals about they want to be more right than the other person. So they want to get reinforcements for their choice that they made. And so oftentimes, like in this instance in particular, it feels like both of them are saying, I'm right, they're wrong. Come and join me on my side and make me feel better. And so there's this ego-driven thing where it's almost like saying they're the wrong person because they did the wrong thing and therefore I'm right. And that happens in relationships too, regular relationships.
It does, yeah. And I'm really letting that sink in, how you reflect on what was sort of said between them. I think I think that's definitely the situation there. I think they both, I mean, my feelings are pretty evident, that they're both as bad as each other. So, I don't even see that there's anybody to blame or to make worse than each other. I think they're both as bad as each other, personally.
Right.
I'm thinking, though, in like a personal relationship, I know that I'm thinking of another famous, and I'm not going to get the word right. Oh my goodness, here we go. My problems with names again. Who's the character that played Wolfman? Was it Wolfman? Hugh Jackman.
You mean Hugh Jackman in Wolverine?
Jackman, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
I was reading or listening to something the other day on YouTube, and he had a pretty sort of famous marriage. I mean, everybody was like, they were the couple of, oh my gosh, big age differences, especially if the woman is a lot older than the man, it can work out. And look, they did it and have done it. And I remember seeing something that he felt betrayed because his wife had basically come out. Initially, they said it was a mutual decision to divorce, but then it came out that he fell in love with one of his co-stars in a play I think he was doing, or something he was doing, and his wife expressed her hurt over it, and apparently he said he felt betrayed that she had made it public. And that type of, I'm just taking that as an example, that there's a time to tell the truth of how a marriage broke down, say, or a relationship broke down. I don't think you have to keep secrets to protect somebody, but I also think you don't have to slag somebody off, basically.
Well,
I think you can just lay out the facts, literally, like, I didn't want to divorce, my partner found somebody else and they left. Simple as that. But I don't think that is a wrong thing to. What do you? Oh, Barry's got a quizzical face here. So go on, tell me
Well,
what's your
one
perspective?
of the things about it, about that experience, that thing, is that what happens is when somebody's emotionally hurt in a breakup, they
Mm-hmm.
may make decisions that aren't the most altruistic or clean, that sort of thing. So oftentimes these sort of gaffes or mistakes in quotes, they say something they shouldn't say, or they do something in public. Sometimes it comes from a place of pain and wounding than intentional, like, I want to hurt that person. Well, no, sorry. If they're in upset and wounding, they may want to hurt the other person by doing something like that. So even in that situation, and just a regular relationship breakup, it sometimes comes with a person who's feeling emotionally distraught will want to go to their friends to get, nurturing's the wrong word, but like saying, you're okay, you were right, they were wrong, they're a bad person, you should feel better, type thing. They want that sort of sympathy. And I think in the case of this one, is that maybe he was feeling that he had, and I can't speak for them, of course, but the
Mm-hmm.
presumption is that they were basically feeling like, what was said was out of, as you said, in a way, wasn't private, it was made public. But just
Mm-hmm.
people do that, and again, these are in the media, so it's one thing, but no, just romantic relationships in normal people, type thing, in quotes, as us regular folks. When there's a breakup, oftentimes we'll go to our own friends for nurturance, for there's a word I'm looking for, just like that thing of being encouraged that we're okay.
Yes, I don't even
You know,
think it's been okay. I think it's if you have genuinely been wounded and betrayed in a relationship that was not your agreement, that you would run off with whoever, whether it's your co-star or your best friend or whatever it is. I,
secretary or or roommate, whatever. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's not so much I want to be right. It's more like I'm in so much pain. I want my pain to be witnessed, and I want understanding for the pain I'm in.
Hmm.
And I know that I was in a relationship where I kept it a secret because I was trying to protect everybody. And I felt, and it was so interesting because at the time it felt like a death to me. It really did feel like a death. But I couldn't mourn it like a death because I was protecting.
Hmm.
And it was a very interesting thing because I remember of somebody in my community going through the death of a partner and being visibly distraught, upset, and getting all this support from people. And I remember I felt that I was suffering in silence. I mean, really suffering, really grieving a death. But there was so much around having to protect what had gone on for many
Yeah.
reasons that nobody witnessed my pain, and that was really hard for me. I wanted somebody to witness my pain, and understand what I was going through. And I was just sort of walking around with that. It's okay, and it wasn't okay. I was grieving
Right.
incredibly. So I don't think it's necessarily always a retaliation or wanting to be right and
No.
the other person's wrong. It can be just as that I am in so much pain right now. My life has just been sort of ripped out from under me, and I don't want to pretend that this was something that was mutually decided upon. You know.
No. Conscious relationships can have conscious breakups, so to speak. That's was it Catherine Wilbur Thomas talks about conscious uncoupling, was the second book she wrote after she wrote Calling in the One. Interestingly, she had a book on both ends of the conversation.
What was
But
that?
the Catherine Wilbur Thomas, she wrote Calling in the One.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
also, she wrote also, she wrote the book called Conscious Uncoupling.
yeah. Well, that
And
was Paltrow's
well,
version.
that's where Gwyneth got it from. It was actually because Catherine wrote the book first. So I think it was a client. Anyway, the thing is that the conscious uncoupling ideal is that both people disengage from a place of love and compassion, and yes, hurt and everything else too. But it's not done as a place of like, I'm out, you're on your own, that sort of thing, and quitting. It was basically done that way. But the thing is, the people who do that are a very, very small minority of the population. So
Mhm.
most of us, unfortunately, don't have the skills to let the other person down gently, so to speak, so that we don't inflict pain or create wounding, because most of us are so inept, frankly, at being able to walk away cleanly, so that we leave baggage behind us and we leave pain and wounding, and we carry our own stuff with us too. And like you were saying with that breakup, with the feeling of like loss, for many people, they don't understand that when they go through a breakup, there's a grief process they haven't even embraced, because grief is part of that letting go. It's part of that loss they've gone through. And so the challenge of going through a breakup of any sort is, whether it's through death or divorce or breakup or cheating, whatever it is, there is a discord, a cut off of what was to what is.
Mm-hmm.
And the ability to navigate that is something that most people haven't got tools for, which is why breakup is so challenging. And having a sense of, I mean, I would say it so easily, but having a sense of compassion for yourself wherever you are in that process is the first step towards healing. But yeah, most of us don't have the tools to go through breakup easily if we're the receiver of the wounding, so to speak.
Well, I think this is a few things here, and I was laughing because I know Catherine very well, as you know, and she's
Mhm.
never told me about the uncoupling thing. But anyway, but I see, the thing is that regardless of how many people say it was a mutual decision, I believe that majority of relationships, there's somebody that's a little further along than the other person in
Great.
the uncoupling.
Yeah.
Um, and I agree, to have a conscious uncoupling, whether again friendship, relationship, whatever. I think if you are aware that you are pulling away from the other person, if you're aware that that's going on, start talking about it then.
Mhm.
Don't wait until you've tested the waters outside with somebody else. Address the feelings you're having. Say, I'm feeling like I am attracted to somebody else, or I'm feeling that this relationship is a bit one-sided right now, and it's not. I'm not feeling the same as I was. Maybe we need time apart. I'm talking about a friendship now or something, or I think just the second you start to feel these things is when you discuss them, because that keeps you both on the same footing. You're both aware that there's a crack happening, and it may mean that that crack gets healed just by
Mhm.
simply discussing it. Or it might mean that you do choose, both of you, to go your separate ways and check out being separated, being alone, or dating other people, whatever it is. But having a conscious conversation beforehand, I think, after the horse has left the barn, to sort of, then start saying, oh, well, now consciously uncouple, when you've got one of the couples who's being deeply wounded and betrayed, is, or feels taken advantage of or used or whatever it is. Because again, in friendships, because I've seen friendships end like that, because one person feels that they've been doing all the giving and the other one's been doing all the taking, and then it just blows up. But I think, to again, you'd be amazed at, I know couples, and I know for myself, when I have felt myself pulling away, I just 100%, I'm very blunt. I will say to my partner, I am finding somebody else attractive. I want to talk to you about this, because I love you, but this is happening right now. Why do you think this is happening? What can we talk about this? What does this mean for us? And
Right.
it's amazing, just being able to voice that, and for your partner to be able to hear you. That closeness that you can get after that, it's all of a sudden, I don't know why I found that other person attractive. It's like it had nothing to do with it. There was
Right.
a schism or something within that relationship that needed to be addressed. And when you address it, it can bring you back together. And I think so many, I know people that have divorced, like met somebody else that they thought the grass was greener on the other side or whatever. They left their partner for it. And male and female, I have male and female clients and friends that have both expressed this. That looking back, they realize that, oh my God, I'm experiencing exactly the same issue in the second or the third relationship. I could have stayed with my partner, the first one, and made the relationship work. And that's something that is, it's too late. But
Well, that's the thing is, I know, and I talk about it in my own work as well, about how we go through the cycle of relationships where the person changes, but the pattern doesn't. And
Mhm,
so it is the thing where it's time to look inside. One of the challenges or the opportunities going through breakups is to look at what really happened from a clean, neutral place and see, okay, what was my part in that? Because for most of us, we don't do that. And again, this is the thing about relationships. We aren't very smart, generally speaking, as a human race in terms of relationships on any level. So the breakup is nowhere near as easy as it could be. But having the willingness to look at the things from a clinical point of view and see, especially if you're the person who's been broken up with, and look back and see for the last few relationships you've been in and see where there may be common threads. Because if there's common threads, there's something you can do about it. If it's totally random, then may not be anything you can do to change the situation the next time. But if you get to look back and go, that's what happened last time or the time before that, that's a signpost, a clue. I'm speaking from personal experience. I went through that with 3 relationships where I did the same thing 3 times in a row. The women were all very different. It was me that was the common denominator, and I did look at my own self before I go forward to the next relationship. And that became the turning point of my own relationship journey and actually put me into this work. So the breaking up to make it easier, so to speak, is take responsibility for our part in it.
mhm.
And even if you're the one who did the breaking up, first of all, could you've done it any more compassionately? Could you've done it more kindly? Could you've maybe had, as you said, a conversation before the breakup that really may have redirected it so they didn't go to a breakup? It's like there's so many, in quote, opportunities we have after a breakup, both the one who's broken up with and the one who did the breaking up, to do things differently going forward. But a lot of times we don't. So this conversation is important for people to realize there are opportunities to change our trajectory going forward from this point, so we don't go through the same thing again.
Yeah. And if that is the case, if you are seeing yourself repeating a pattern, I mean, I know, after my divorce, the next 2 men I dated, they might as well have been my husband. I mean, I was like, oh, oh, how did I get myself into this one again? And
Familiar?
the wake up call for me to go, time out. I need time alone.
Hmm.
Uh, and it had to happen twice. So I did it the first time. The first person very brief dating, but I could see there was a pattern.
Yeah.
Ended that relationship, took some time alone, went into another one, saw the pattern again, and went, okay, longer break next time. Really need to work, decide what, really see objectively what the attraction was and what was the unhealed wound. Because I love the expression. It's like, your teeth match my, wound. It's like you're attracted to that original wounding you may have had from a
Yep.
parent. It's like you attract that person in again, the same type of situation,
Yeah.
to because I always say there's that little sort of inner child within us that wants a do-over, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna win that father over that was never available, so I'm gonna choose an unavailable man to
Mhm.
make it have a different outcome. And some
Yeah.
people go, hang on a minute, this doesn't heal the original wound, and all it's doing is reopening that wound, and it's just very painful. So no,
Well,
there's much better ways to heal that original wound than
the
finding a
challenge,
person that represents your parent that hurt you.
right? Well, first of all, it's absolutely it's a struggle that will never change. The thing about it, and interesting, is the teeth marks and that's not the one I'm used to. Is dovetailing patterns sounds much less painful.
Say that.
Dovetailing patterns,
Oh, don't tell your parents.
yeah, because because the dovetailing patterns are meaning that it's like if you ever I mean I did woodwork as a kid in high school, but basically it's where the two things fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. And
Mhm.
so that's the thing. And if what's happening in your relationship isn't what you want, and we talked about this in other episodes, I believe, then it's it's our choice, it's our responsibility, it's an opportunity to look at what we've done in past relationships to change it. Because, like you're saying, like trying to change the relationship you have with your father with the next relationship is it's not going to happen, to be blunt. However, if you make peace with your relationship with your father before you get into the next relationship, you might have a whole better experience in the next relationship if you're willing to do the work before you get in there. The challenge for most people, and this thing about breaking up is hard to do, people don't usually take time to reprocess the breakup first before they get to the next relationship. So they're basically recycling the breakups every single time because they're not spending time, one, being single, but two, doing and I keep saying doing the work, but being willing to look at what's my part in this so I can change it going forward. And that parent stuff we talk about a lot as well is so influential in our choices in our dating. And it's such a default if you don't think about it. And so having that willingness to go, hang on a second, maybe I can do something different. Even that much alone to change your trajectory. I can't say the word. But the reality of what's going on in our lives is we don't sometimes know what's attracting us to people in the first place. So we break up with people because we're not even looking clearly. I know you got something to jump in on that.
Yeah, so you're talking, and I'm just thinking about, which I've shared before, growing up with a father that just lived a few miles away, that I would pass on my way to school, and he would, slick his look the other way, never acknowledge me. I had this drive that I wasn't even aware of for the first part of my life to rectify that situation, which was, you will see me, you will acknowledge me, you will love me. But I had many men that would have willingly loved me, seen me, acknowledged me. And I was like, get out of the way. I want that one.
Right.
That one over there that is
flavor. Yeah.
and so it can be so innocent, and you have no idea what you're doing. And as I said, I had that pattern. I recognized that pattern. I took my time alone, but it wasn't like I was all of a sudden ready to be attracted to somebody that was available, that was willing to love me, see me, honor me, respect me, all of those things that I wanted. I was ready to receive that. It took work. I had
Right.
to, because it was so uncomfortable for me. I was comfortable in the other role because that's how I grew up. That's what I knew. It was comfortable, painful, yes, but comfortable. So in this discussion we're having about the breakup, it's well, we've sort of veered off a little bit, but what I was going to say is 100% what you said, for sure. Look at your partner, look at the patterns, see if this is genuinely something you want in your life.
Yeah.
If you and it really does take, and we always say that self-awareness is, God, it's key to life. It's so
Yeah.
we
It's a mantra.
it's such a game changer. I mean, it's like when we, like you said, it's when we're like, oh, it's their fault, they did this, they did that. There's no self-awareness, there's no, but I'm not talking about self-blame. That's different. When you blame yourself for everything, we're not talking about that. We're talking about self-awareness, awareness of your patterns, awareness of the undercurrent that is driving you. Become clearer on that, and that will help you not only navigate a bad breakup, but I did want to get back to the breakup a little bit, because I talked about initially in the beginning of it being a very public breakup,
Yeah.
was, and we were talking about, yes, you're going to share with your intimate family and friends what may have gone on and how you feel and everything. But I also wanted to talk about why it's important to, as much as we share and we don't hide and we don't cover other people's secrets, that we also don't make our breakup so public that everybody else dogpiles in and can really either feed that whatever upset is,
Oh,
or
yeah.
that you could reach a place where, yes, you may initially have been upset, you may initially have felt hurt and angry, but with time and with self-reflection, you look back and you can actually honor what got you in that relationship in the first place, what you
Yeah.
liked about each other, what you loved about each other. And I did want to mention a book that was so helpful in my breakup, because it was so painful. And that was A Spiritual Divorce by Debbie Ford. And it was so impactful that I ended up going and studying with her and becoming a spiritual divorce coach through her training. And it's about going through the grieving process, knowing that, especially if you have children with say an ex, that relationship will never ever end. It just takes on a different form. and how you can consciously, even if there's hurt and betrayal there, that you can consciously create the relationship that you wish to have moving forward with
Hmm.
co-parenting, because you're going to be, even if after school is over, you're still going to be at weddings and funerals and family events. There's going to be many times you're going to have to be in each other's company. Besides, when the children are younger, which is obvious, you need to be able to communicate very well and co-parent very well. So I highly recommend that book for anybody. It's an old book. I mean, unfortunately, Debbie passed away a few years ago, but you can still get that book. It's called A Spiritual Divorce, and it help you through the grieving process, help you to reframe, help you to look for the gift in the relationship. That's always I always say that gratitude is the salve that heals all wounds. Whenever we see the gift in something, immediately the pain threshold, is that pain you're feeling is sort of lessened, because you're like, well, I just got something really good out of it, so I can't all be bad. So focus on the love that you had for that person, the gift that they brought you, even if it was a painful gift, what you learned from the relationship, and how to make peace with that, so you
Yeah.
can move on in a healthy, clean way.
Well, that's the thing that is the gift when it's done that way. And I absolutely agree with you. It's such a opportunity, as I said, and we say breaking up is hard to do, but also moving on is part of that process of breaking up. And yes, absolutely, to take basically like 12 step, do the inventory to really make peace, make amends, is to do the things that really help you heal. And compassion, yes, gratitude, yes, are great tools to use to bring yourself back to yourself. Breakups can really mess us up. And the challenge is that because we have this vision of what that relationship was going to be when we're in it, they got shattered when the breakup happened. And so we end up sometimes being lost in the wilderness because we don't have that stability or that dream realized anymore because it fell apart. And so part of the work can be realizing that that was okay that it ended. As much as it sounds so hard, so easy to say that, it's not easy to admit that. But to get to the point where you can say, you know what, that was close but no cigar sort of thing, where it's like it's really like so close to what I really wanted, but it wasn't perfect. And part of that also means looking through the lens of reality to look back at that relationship and realize the things that we missed. Because yes, there were things to look for that are great, but also look for the things that we missed that led to this, that if we had just been less in bliss, less enamored, maybe we'll see some.
Delusional is a word.
I was being polite, but the idea being that oftentimes in relationships we see the warning signs way ahead, but we don't even acknowledge them.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Somebody who's obviously unacceptable. Say, for instance, and this is another show we have to do. Say that you are having an affair with a married man, and then their marriage breaks up. You get married to this person, then all of a sudden, shock and horror, they cheated on you. Well, the sort of writing was on the wall,
Yeah.
and it's definitely one we need to do. Because again, I mean, we can delude ourselves. We can see something that we want, and we ignore all the red flags. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I want that. I want that. But we're coming to the end of our show, as usual. To be continued. I think we need to continue this next week. I would love to actually share the steps of the spiritual divorce with the audience.
Yeah.
As I said, they helped me heal so that I was able to allow love back in my life. And I know so many people that have felt that level of pain and hurt at the end of a breakup or betrayal that they don't ever allow themselves to love again, which is tragic. So I will share that with everybody next week.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Another great chat, Barry.
Yes, it's definitely fun. More again next week.
We'll see you all next week. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. We trust you enjoyed this episode and invite you to share this with your friends and loved ones. In fact, please subscribe to our Relationship Mastery podcast. That way you'll get each new episode fresh and shiny as soon as it is released. We'd love to hear from you as well. So go ahead and enter your questions and comments at relationshipmastery.show. Take good care.
We will connect with you in our next episode of Relationship Mastery.